The status of women according to the Quran. The status of women according to the Quran, as explained by Allahmah Nooruddin. You're listening to World Reading Club, presented by Hakeem Ali Bokus Alexander on Spreaker, Social Podcasting, and Wisdom, Social Audio Inc., presented for World Reading Club in association with Uniquilibrium. This edition's reading focus comes to us from the Holy Quran, Arabic text and English translation, as explained by Allahmah Nooruddin, rendered into English by Amatul Rahman Omar and Abdul Manan Omar. In the beginning it says, this book is a clear exposition of the truth for humankind to follow, and a means to guidance and exhortation to those who guard against evil and are dutiful to God and people. 3:138. I'm not exactly which 3:138 that's referencing, but I thought it interesting because I opened up the book. I just sent a text message to my girlfriend, who happens to be Muslim, and when I opened up the Quran, there was something in there that said something about marriage, and now I forget where it is. But I said, you know what, let me read this whole thing and see what it says about marriage, and then I looked at how long it was, and I said, nope, not going to do that. But then I looked into the table of contents, and I saw a short section about in the introduction to the study of the Holy Quran, which was conveniently titled Status of Women According to the Quran. So I thought that would be interesting. And here's why. I'm gonna grab another book I have here in my library. Let's see. Let's fish it out of there. All right, so I got this. So there's another book that's called Islam, A Short History by Karen Armstrong. And I really like the back cover, the little blurb that's on the back there, that I think it sums up quite well people's perspective about Islam. And by the way, I'm not converting to Islam. I have recently discovered, this is like 2 weeks ago, that what I am doing is I'm learning to appreciate the various different... I'm an appreciator of Islam and Christianity and Judaism and Buddhism and whatever else would be called religions and spiritual practices, but I belong to none of them, but I can appreciate them. And interestingly enough, it's because of the influence of a woman. That's right, people. My mind has been opened up because of a friendship, a relationship, an intimacy that is, by the way, not sexual, but it is really built on a friendship. Things change, but that's the way it is right now. I like the way things are moving along. But so the back of this book, holy crap. All right, Yusuf, you're gonna have to hold on. We're gonna talk to Yusuf Wasserman real quick before I start reading this. But I have this book called Islam, and Islam, a short history. What's up, brother? Hello, Yusuf.
I'm not gonna monopolize. Basically, I would say the best verse, just to read first, would be the 177th verse of the second surah.
Okay, well, I am...
Chapter 2, 177, yeah. That's just really great. And, I don't know, I just think, to me, it kind of sums it up in a nutshell.
Sums what up, Yusuf?
Just what's expected of, good behavior.
Yeah, well, that's not what
like,
that's not what I'm reading here. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not talking about what's expected about good
I
behavior.
know. The video I sent you is by an Egyptian women's studies author.
You sent me a video.
Yeah, it's off my channel. I read out of the book by a women's studies author talking about the ancient Mediterranean and how it was for women.
All right. Well,
even before Christianity, we're talking about the time of Gilgamesh.
All right. Hold on for a second.
How it was for women back then in ancient Mesopotamia.
Yusuf.
Just if you want to check it out, that's fine.
Yusuf.
Yeah, I don't want to monopolize your video.
Yusuf. Good sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. What was the chapter and verse you said? Chapter 2, 177?
Yeah, I really like that one.
Okay, I'll look at it later, but I just wanted to write it down so I could remember.
Terrific, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, well, I think this is interesting. I'll listen.
Well, I'm just going to read this part here and see what it says. I haven't read it yet, so it's going to be new. Thank you, Yusuf Wasserman, for coming up for a moment and sharing that chapter and verse with me. So let's see. Oh, first, the book Islam, a short history. The back cover says, no religion in the modern world is as feared and misunderstood as Islam. It haunts the popular imagination as an extreme faith that produces terrorism, authoritarian government, female oppression, and civil war. In a vital revision of this narrow view of Islam and a distillation of years of thinking and writing about the subject, Karen Armstrong's short history demonstrates that the world's fastest growing faith is a much more complex phenomenon than its modern fundamentalist strain might suggest. So I need to get this out of the way real quick, lest I get a call from my lady, because she was on her way home and I said I want to talk to her. And in the meantime, I'm doing this, so I'm going to finish that first. But that was from the book Islam, A Short History by Karen Armstrong. What I'm reading from is the Holy Quran, Arab text, English translation, as explained by Allahmah Nooruddin. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's my best phonetic pronunciation of it. All right, this is part of the introduction to the study of the Holy Quran. I haven't read it yet, but I was attracted to the section titled Status of Women According to the Quran. So let's see, right? Because we got to, like Karen Armstrong's book said, it's feared and misunderstood and all that. So let's see what they have to say in the Quran. So, or at least what Allahmah Nooruddin has to say that the Quran says. And it starts off with a verse here from chapter 2, verse 228. It says, "And women have their rights similar to their obligations in an equitable and just manner." I'll repeat that. "And women have their rights similar to their obligations in an equitable and just manner." Well, that little snippet doesn't really tell me much, but let me continue with the status of women according to the Quran. Remember, this is Allahmah Nooruddin. I don't know how to pronounce that, but here we go. "Men and women proceed from the same origin, same in nature, and of the same stock." Chapter 4, verse 1. This is a clear announcement and is repeated in verse 1672. An announcement very different from what we read in Bible. "Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man." In order to raise the position of women, which had reached its lowest ebb at the time of its revelation, the Holy Quran has laid down several laws pertaining to women. Chapter 4, the women, Al-Nisa, is mostly devoted to this subject. I need to take a pause for a second. Nisa, that's interesting because I think Nisa was the name of either the vampire chick from one of the Blade movies, or it's what's his name? Ra's al Ghul from the Batman comic books. And Ra's al Ghul, actually, they were of Arabic origin. And did you guys know that the word Hashishin or assassin comes from Hashishin? Anyway, Nisa. Yeah, her name was Nisa. Nisa. Was it? Gosh, who knows? Where was Nisa? The name of Nisa was either from the Batman comics. It was either Ra's al Ghul's daughter, or it was one of the vampire ladies, part of the villain's clan in I'm starting to think it was in one of the Blade movies. Anyhow, let me continue with this this reading here. All right, so he says, chapter 4, the women, Al-Nisa, is mostly devoted to this subject, and what I just read before was the Holy Quran has laid down several laws pertaining to women. Chapter 4, the women, Al-Nisa, is mostly devoted to this subject. This chapter begins with the verse, O you people, take as a shield your Lord, the nourisher to perfection, who created you from a single being, and from the same stock from which he created the man, he created his spouse, and through them both he caused to spread a large number of men and women. O people, regard Allah in reverence, in whose name you appeal to one another, and be regardful to the ties of relationship, particularly from the female side. Verse 4:1. This injunction is very comprehensive but very broad in its significance and in its application. The nourisher to perfection has not preferred men to women, but has created them from the same stock and provided them both with the same capacities and capabilities. So the women are not to be stigmatized for intellectual deficiency by nature and want of common sense. In matters of social status, professions, marriages, and inheritance, the Holy Quran gives women rights similar to those of men. Again, it refers to chapter 2, verse 228. We read in the beginning pages of the Bible, on which the whole structure of Judaism and Christianity is based, the story of the fall of man through a woman. And, the text in the Quran relating to this account reads, And we said, O Adam, dwell you and your wife in this garden and eat freely and plentifully from it as you will, but you shall not go near this tree, evil, lest you should be of the unjust. After some time, the Satan caused them both to slip from this order of not going near evil, and thus brought them out of the happy state which they were in. Chapter 2, verse 35 to 36. No sole blame falls on the woman, and the Adam of the Holy Quran, in order to save himself from the banishment at the expense of his wife, does not say, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. The Adam in the Holy Quran is penitent, noble, and respectful towards his life. His wife. So once again, the Adam in the Holy Quran is penitent, noble, and respectful towards his wife. Both of them confess their guilt when they say, Our Lord, we have done injustice to our soul, and if you do not protect us against the consequences of our faults, and do not have mercy on us, we shall surely be of the losers. Chapter 7, verse 23. What a truism which we experience in our daily lives. Every husband is an Adam, and every wife an Eve, living in the garden of their bliss, as long as they live in harmony and concord and shun evil. But no sooner do they taste the tree of evil and discord than it causes their banishment from this happy state. This verse brings a man on the same footing as a woman. It is not the Quran that teaches us that as long as a maiden lives in the house of her father, she has to be ruled by one who has the authority on her body. She is not to be bartered, nor to be given away to make up family feuds, nor to bait the enemies and be a snare. She is not unclean, and therefore to be brought out of the city, because the places are holy whereunto the ark of the Lord hath come. Some saints of the medieval church called the woman the organ of the devil, the instrument which the devil used to gain possession of souls, the foundation of the arm of devil, a scorpion ever ready to sting, the poison of an asp, the malice of dragon. No such words about women are found in the Quran or were ever heard from the lips of the Prophet of Islam. She is never a source of disgrace or shame or an object to be buried alive, as practiced in the pre-Islamic Arab society. On the contrary, the Holy Quran teaches that women and men are equally indispensable for each other's happiness when it says, "They are a sort of garment for you, and you are a sort of garment for them." Chapter 2, verse 187. What a beautiful, suitable, and befitting metaphor. As garments hide, so do wives and husbands hide each other's nakedness, their weaknesses, both physical and moral, and those places that they are ashamed of displaying to others. As clothes give comfort, protection, and grace to the body, so do wives and husbands find comfort and grace in each other's company. This garment is the grace, the beauty, the embellishment. Is this finished, or are we still going here? Uh-oh, wow. This... Here I thought that I was going to be doing a short little reading, but that's fine. I got 2 more pages to go. I'm learning here. This is the first time I'm reading this. All right, let's see. All right, so then it says, and it is one of his signs that he has created spouses for you from your own species, that you may find comfort in them. And he has induced mutual love and tenderness between you. Chapter 30, verse 21. Therefore, love and kindness should be the rule and not the enforcement of authority by man, nor subservience on the part of the woman. This is the ideal of wifehood in Islam, and we have not found elsewhere a higher ideal of mutual love, affection, and equality. Rearrange my desk here. I'm in for more than I thought I was. All right. Okay. In the matters of marriage, divorce, and inheritance, women are given the same rights as men. Chapter 4, verse 7 and chapter 4, verse 19. No guardian can force any girl into marriage without first obtaining her consent. Chapter 2, verse 19. She does not lose her identity or name after marriage, and has an equal right of divorcing her husband. Accusing women and punishing them for being sexually flagrant requires producing at least 4 eyewitnesses, a law clearly for the protection of women against false charges and accusations. Chapter 4, verse 15, and chapter 24, verse 4. On her marriage, she retains the share of her inheritance from her parents, and after marriage, she acquires additional rights in the property of her husband in the form of dowry. Chapter 4, verse 24. She can enter into any financial contract without her husband on her own. Verse 4, chapter 4. The financial responsibility for the family lies with the men. Chapter 2, 228. Divorce is allowed if all conciliatory efforts fail. After the divorce, no man is permitted to ask that back what he has given to his wife as dowry or as a gift, nor has he any right on the inherited property of the woman. Chapter 4, verse 20. To have more than one wife at a time is only permitted under hard conditions and is not an injunction. The verse containing this permission, chapter 4, verse 3, begins and ends with a capital if. Chapter 4, verse 3. The permission given here is to take a second or third or fourth wife under certain circumstances, such as wars and the consequent decimation of the male population. This permission is, thus, to provide helpless women with legal and economic protection and to save a society from adultery, street girls, war babies, and mistresses, and to provide their children legal and social protection. The permission of the first wife is absolutely necessary with whom the second wife is going to share the finances of the husband. Not only this, the husband is required to do full justice based on equality in all matters, and if he fears he cannot do this justice, this permission to marry is no more valid. Contrary to the Jewish and the Christian laws, Quran clearly allows women who are given equal rights irrespective of their religions, chapter 5, verse 5. Decency and modesty is enjoined by Quran for men as well as for women, as the following verse says. Tell the believers to restrain their looks in the presence of women not closely related to them and so lawful for marriage, and guard their chastity. That is purer and best for them. Surely Allah is well aware of what they do. And tell the believing women to restrain their looks also in the presence of men who are not near of kin and so lawful for marriage, and guard their chastity, and not to disclose their natural and make-up beauty except such as cannot be helped and is apparent, and draw their head coverings over their bosoms. Chapter 24, verses 30 through 31. The head covering is universally found in almost all nations of the world. However, there is no face veil in Islam. The injunction is only to cover the bosom with a covering, and there is no such evidence that women at the time of the Prophet of Islam practiced burqa, face veil with complete coverage of the body with the exception of the eyes, as being practiced in some societies. The burqa system is neither of Islamic nor of Arabian origin. It is Zoroastrian in origin, later adopted by the Persians, and with some modifications by the Byzantines and Christian nuns. This system was never adopted by a great majority of Muslim women. Quran does not enjoin women any face veil or confinement to the four walls of the house. Such a practice is an expression of weakness of the men of a society. We know from the Muslim history that women fought side by side with men. They nursed the sick and cared for the wounded. Aisha, the daughter of Abu Bakr and the wife of the Prophet, personally conducted a military action in the Battle of Jamal and commanded troops of men. Jamal's my brother's name. The granddaughter of the Prophet Muhammad shielded her nephew in the Battle of Karbala. All this was not possible with burqa. The commands in the surah above are for the uplift of morality and ethics of a society, and not a tactic to deprive women from the right of development of their personalities in the fields of education, professional lives, and family matters. The Quran has laid down no obligation or precept which could render the position of women in any way derogatory. For nowhere in the Holy Quran is there any authority to deprive women from rights which men claim for themselves, and the order to practice decency and modesty is for both men and women alike. Following are some sayings of the Prophet of Islam about women. See that the women are maintained in the rights granted to them. Whoever does good to daughters will be saved from hell. Whoever looks after two girls till they come of age of marriage will be in the next world along with me, like my two fingers, close to each other. Shall I not point out to you the best of virtues? It is to treat tenderly your daughter when she is returned to you, having been divorced. You should not hate your wife. If you are displeased with one bad quality in her, then be pleased with another that is good. Paradise lies under the feet of your mothers. The concept of some Christians about the rights of women in Islam is based upon colossal ignorance of the teachings of the Quran and Islam. History is full of innumerable instances of high cultural refinement which Muslim women attained. They have left behind noble records of righteousness, bravery, and knowledge. The ladies of the Prophet's family were noted for their learning, their virtues, and strength of character. The pious Rabia of Basra, the scholarly Zubaydah, wife of the Caliph Harun al-Rashid, Baran, the wife of the Caliph Mamun, Umma al-Fazl, Mamun's sister, and Mamun's daughter, Umma al-Habib, are a few names known to every reader of Muslim history. We also know that in the 11th century AD, 5th after Hijrah, Fakhr al-Nisa lectured publicly at the Cathedral Mosque of Baghdad on literature, history, and poetry. Zat al-Hama, the Lionheart, the heroine of many battles, fought side by side with the bravest of the knights. In all fields, the Almighty God practices the same impartiality. We read, "But the men and women who believe and at the same time do righteous deeds, it is they who will enter paradise, where they will be provided for without measure." We also read, "Whoever acts righteously, whether male or female, and is a believer, we will certainly enable him to lead a pure life, and certainly we will bestow on such their reward according to the best of their deeds." Chapter 16, verse 97. Verily, Allah has in store protection from faults and a great reward for the men and women who submit themselves to the will of God, and for the men and women who believe, and for the men and women who are obedient to Allah, and for the men and women who are true to Allah, and for the men and women who are patiently persevering in their faith and righteousness, and for the men and women who are humble before God, and for the men and women who give alms, and for the men and women who fast, and for the men and women who guard their chastity, and for the men and women who remember and glorify Allah with all His praises. Again and again. Chapter 33, verse 35. Revelation, which is God's greatest gift, is not the exclusive privilege of men and is granted equally to women, just as it was granted to prophets of God and other saints. The Holy Quran cites examples of women recipients of this gift. We read about the mother of Moses in the verse 28:7, "And we revealed to the mother of Moses, saying, Give him, Moses, suck. But when you have fear about him, his life, cast him, placing him in a chest, into the river, and entertain no fear nor grief about his welfare." Stop here for a second. I actually read that. I read that because it's in a book called Al-Qasas. I think so, because I was looking for some references to find some about Esther and Haman. So I did read that. Oh, Yusuf, I see you there. I'm gonna finish reading this. I'm almost done. And yeah, I read that story, so I remember seeing that coincidentally. All right, continuing. "Verily, we shall restore him to you, and shall make him one of the messengers." In the mention of Mary and the wife of Pharaoh, we read in verse 66, 12-13, how high a woman can rise spiritually. Mary and the wife of Pharaoh are examples for believers to follow. And Allah compares those who believe to the wife of Pharaoh. Behold, she said, my Lord, make for me an abode in the garden of paradise, close to you, and deliver me from Pharaoh and his work, and deliver me from the wrongdoing people. And Allah next compares the believers to Mary, the daughter of Amran, who she took care to guard her chastity. So we breathed into him, the believer who is exemplified here, our inspiration while she declared her faith in the revelations of her Lord and his scriptures, and she became of the devoted ones to prayers and obedient to him. 66:11-12. After reading such verses, we cannot imagine that the spiritual rights of women can go any further. All right. That was from the introduction to the study of the Holy Quran, as explained by Allahmah Nooruddin. This is the 16th reprint from 2022 from the Noor Foundation International. Hello, welcome to Room Mojo, Elizabeth McClung, Cosmic J, Christopher Birkenbein, Dr. Robert James Goodman, Jason Kinty, Migdalia, Anaya, Sparkly Queen, Christopher John Martin, Cecilia Grace, Anthony Thomas, Curdy J, Angelina Frost, John Bush, and Yusuf. Yes, sir, what's up?
Hey, Hakeem, you know what Hakeem means?
You're a little low. I can't hear you, sir. I think you're asking me, because I'm not able to hear you, what the name Hakeem means. Yes, I know what my name means.
One who arranges.
Yeah, Yusuf, there's something going on with your sound, sir.
Okay, great. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know what that is, but hold on. Let me try something here. Let me see what's going on. I don't know. Anyhow, no, I'm not having any speaker issues here. I don't know what that is.
I just...
I'm sorry. Okay. Yusuf, I'm not able to hear you. I apologize. But let's see. We'll try to get him back up here. All right, the comprehensive book and the perfect code. So anyway, I got that read. That was. Hey, hello.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
All right, I don't know what that is, brother. Hey, man. What is happening, sir? All right, you know what, Yusuf, we gotta, let's not do that again. All right, so again, you've been listening to World Reading Club, presented by Hakeem Ali Bokus Alexander, here on Spreaker, Social Podcasting, and Wisdom Social Audio Inc. Presented for World Reading Club in association with Uniquilibrium. This edition's reading focus has come to us from the Holy Quran, as explained by Allahmah Nooruddin. And the excerpt here was called Status of Women According to the Quran. I learned a lot, and I now have to log off for a minute and go talk to my lady for a bit. So thank you for joining me. I learned. I hope you learned. You can listen to the recording to see or to listen back, or maybe find an edition of this for yourself. Until next time, stay well.